Do you know the weather signs of a tornado? Do you know which ones are old wives' tales? Can your character be hit with more than one tornado in the same storm? Find out on this episode. Welcome to Writing Rule with Allie. I'm Allie, and this is episode number 37, Tornado Weather 101. Today is the start of a 3-part tornado series. Tornado Weather 101, Inside a Tornado, Survival, and Tornado Triage and First Aid. Stick around to the end to find out what could possibly go wrong. Now, let's get into this. Tornadoes are common in many countries around the world, but the United States has the most with roughly 1,200 per year. That's about 90% of the world's tornadoes. Other places with them are South America, Africa, Australia, Asia, and Europe. The most common countries other than America to have tornadoes are Bangladesh and Argentina. Personally, I live in what's known as Tornado Alley. That is a section of America that has the most tornadoes and the most violent tornadoes. Spring is known as tornado season. Fall is sometimes called our second tornado season, but it also happens in summer and sometimes in winter. This happens because of the way tornadoes form during unstable weather. Simply put, when a warm front or cold front meet with the opposing temperature, warm air rises and cold air will fall. Sometimes the air mass moves into an area with a wedge shape, meaning it is very likely that the air is exchanged diagonally instead of straight up and down. This air exchange can potentially lead to a violent twisting wind that exchanges these temperatures. We call that a tornado, or often a twister, unless you're my dad, and then you call it a tornado. Now, for those wondering why getting warmer or cooler temperatures makes a difference since the whole world has weather, I'm not talking about small, slow changes, but sudden changes in temperatures. As someone who lives in Tornado Alley, I can tell you firsthand that our temperatures can change by 10 to 20 degrees in only a few minutes. It doesn't happen every time, but a temperature change in a short time frame is when tornadoes are likely to form. Tornadoes can form any time of day or night or in any season. However, they are most common in the spring and between the hours of 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. The most likely temperatures they form in are 65 degrees Fahrenheit or 18 degrees Celsius, all the way up to 75 degrees Fahrenheit or 24 degrees Celsius. But they have been recorded forming as low as negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, also, or negative 40 degrees Celsius, and as high as 115 degrees Fahrenheit, or 46 degrees Celsius. Tornadoes do come with thunderstorms, but approximately 80% of the time they form out of supercells. These are massive, long-lived thunderstorms. They have a distinct look to them because of the updraft. Most people call it an anvil shape. Many call it a cloud wall. Others say it looks like the volcano erupted and filled the skyline. But no matter how you've heard it described, the bottom of the storm looks further away and the top closer, making it appear like a diagonal-shaped cloud. Most of the time, these are so large they take up the entire skyline. Supercell storms can be hundreds of miles long, but typically only 10 to 20 miles wide. They can travel at 100 miles per hour or 160 kilometers per hour, or can be too slow for my comfort at 12 miles per hour or 20 kilometers per hour, but typically around 40 to 50 miles per hour or 65 to 80 kilometers per hour. Supercells can last, even traveling at those speeds, for hours. Typically 2 to 4 hours. However, there can be rain or even thunderstorms of less intensity behind the supercell. Tornadoes can form and stay above the ground for several minutes before they touch down, so to speak. Once on the ground, they can grow slowly or quickly. An example is the Joplin, Missouri tornado of 2011, which went from nothing to a mile-wide tornado in approximately 20 seconds. Remember, this is thankfully rare. Until 1948 in America, the word tornado was banned from broadcast to guard against mass panic, as they could not predict where it might hit. In 1950, the Weather Bureau and the Air Force bases in Arkansas, Nebraska, and Oklahoma came together to work on what was called the Tornado Project. This was to forecast tornadoes, later upgraded to what is called the Doppler radar. It was first used in May of 1985, and while it has improved, it is still the version of radar we use today. The warnings come across what is called the Emergency Broadcasting System. It will break through all radio and local TV stations to give out warnings. Local stations have a radar in the corner of the screen to let the viewers watch where the things are. There is even a form of reverse 911 if a person signs up for them. Yes, most of us who grew up here in Tornado Alley can read a radar, but not as well as the weathermen and women. They are awesome, and we are grateful for them. One of the main reasons is the Doppler radar is good at predicting tornadoes on the ground, but they are not good at predicting them beforehand. That's where our weather people come in. They are good at interpreting where it might likely form, and can warn people people in the area that there is a high chance of a tornado, while it is not guaranteed. You also need to know the difference between watches and warnings. A watch means that there is a chance of whatever it is about: tornado, severe thunderstorms, flood, etc. Warnings mean a tornado is on the ground. Basically, it's happening right now, or whatever the warning is about. For those of you writing times without radar, storm chasers, or characters going through a tornado, there are other signs that a tornado is likely to happen, but it doesn't mean that there will be a tornado. These include wall clouds. Wall clouds are one of the first signs and can be seen in the distance, giving your character time to prepare for the chance of a tornado. Large hail can be associated with a tornado. Many people report a quiet just before the tornado hits. I can tell you from having lived through a tornado, it does not always happen every time. A loud roaring that sounds similar to a freight train or a whistling sound can indicate an incoming tornado. Visibly seeing the funnel of a tornado. Seeing debris means a tornado is close enough. Your character needs to take cover, but it does not mean that the tornado is coming toward them. Tornadoes can throw debris several miles depending on how strong the winds inside the tornado are. But the most well-known sign of a tornado is the green sky. Simply put, this happens when the light in the atmosphere illuminates the water or ice droplets inside the cloud, usually a wall cloud. It is important to note the green sky only means a strong likelihood and is not a guarantee of a tornado. Also, contrary to what many people have heard, hail does not mean a tornado is definitely coming, nor does rain mean tornadoes are not coming. These are old wives' tales. Another well-known wives' tale is to hide in the northeast corner of the building. Most tornadoes track from southwest to northwest. However, they have been known to change directions mid-path and have even been known to backtrack. Now that we know about the signs, let's go over the 7 tornadoes. Number 1. Rope tornadoes. These are some of the smallest tornadoes, at least when it comes to their circumference. They can be quite long in their length and look like ropes, hence the name. Most tornadoes look like this when they form or when they end. However, they must be this type for their whole life cycle to be a rope tornado. While these seem like they should be relatively weak, they can actually be quite intense as they tighten or narrow. Think of it like how an ice skater spins intensely as they bring their limbs close to their body. Number 2. Cone tornadoes. These tornadoes are often the ones that come to mind when people think of tornadoes. As with the rope tornado, they get their name from their cone or funnel shape, being more narrow at the bottom. Number 3. Wedge tornadoes. These types look wider than they are tall. They are at least half a mile wide, but could be wider. They can leave a large trail of destruction. Some of the largest and most destructive tornadoes in history are wedge tornadoes. Number 4. Multi-vortex tornadoes. This is when a tornado has one or more other tornadoes spinning around the main tornado. As far as I can tell, this kind only comes out of supercells. They are typically rope tornadoes that do extra damage. You cannot always tell that there are additional tornadoes, as they can be rain-wrapped. Radar and looking at the aftermath are sometimes the only ways to tell if it was a multi-vortex tornado, but this is not always true. Number 6. Satellite tornadoes. These are very similar to multi-vortex tornadoes, as they have multiple tornadoes. However, the satellite tornadoes, there are 2 or more tornadoes that are completely independent of each other. Typically, the first is strong and the second is weaker. The name comes from the fact that they rotate around each other. Number 7. Water or land spouts. Water spouts or land spouts are classified as tornadoes. However, they can develop when there is no thunderstorm and are only recorded as a tornado if they touch land. Water spouts develop over water the same way tornadoes form. They can also develop in what is called fair weather water spouts. According to AccuWeather, and I quote, "These fair weather water spouts are more common than their counterparts and can develop under clouds, such as those associated with the lake effect rain and snow showers around the Great Lakes. They are smaller and weaker than most of the Great Plain tornadoes, but still can be quite dangerous." The SPC said, despite being weaker than most tornadoes, they can still be strong enough to overturn boats and create rough seas. End quote. That was a horrible impression. Land spouts are a mix between dust devils and a tornado. They form the same way water spouts do, but are weak. The strongest land spouts are classified as EF0 tornadoes. This is the weakest tornado type that we will be covering shortly. They only last for a few minutes. Number 8. Rain-wrapped tornadoes. As the name suggests, rain-wrapped tornadoes are wrapped in rain. Normally, tornadoes form in another part of the storm, but when the atmosphere has an extremely high moisture moisture content, they can form inside the rain. This makes them very difficult, if not impossible, to see. This leaves little to no time for your character to find shelter. That said, modern radars can pick them up, which is why warnings are so important. A good example of this is the 2011 Joplin, Missouri tornado that I already mentioned. The tornado could not be seen. However, the radar was able to pick it up, giving them as much time as possible to be able to sound the tornado sirens, the local TV stations and radio stations, along with all the weather stations, to send out warnings to take cover now. Number 9. Fire tornadoes. Fire tornadoes are mostly made of fire and ash. They are most common inside wildfires. Why? Because the superheated air wants to travel up, and the air above it is cooler. The exchange in a wildfire can make a fire tornado. This type is fairly rare, thankfully. The next thing to go over is the tornado scale or classification. The first scale is called the F scale or the Fahiji scale. Fahiji scale? I can't pronounce it. It was invented in 1971. It has 6 categories. They are as follows. F0. These have wind speeds of less than 73 miles per hour or less than 117 kilometers per hour. This did light damage, some damage to chimneys, broken branches off trees, shallow rooted trees pushed over, sign and board damage. F1 has wind speeds of 73 to 112 miles per hour or 117 to 180 kilometers per hour. This does moderate damage, peels surfaces off roofs, mobile homes pushed off of foundations or overturned, moving automobiles blown off of the road. Moving automobiles blown off the road. F2. These have wind speeds of 113 miles per hour to 157 miles per hour or 181 to 252 kilometers per hour. This does considerable damage. Roofs torn off framed houses. Mobile homes demolished. Boxcars overturned. Light trees snapped or uprooted. Light object missiles generated. Cars lifted off the ground. F3 has wind speeds of 158 miles per hour to 206 miles per hour or 242 to 331 kilometers per hour. This does severe damage. Roofs and some walls torn off of well-constructed homes. Trains overturned. Most trees in the forest uprooted. Heavy cars lifted off the ground and thrown. F4. These have wind speeds up 227 to 260 miles per hour or 333 to 418 kilometers per hour. This does devastating damage. Well-constructed houses leveled. Structures with weak foundations blown away some distance. Cars thrown. Large missiles generated. F5 has wind speeds of 261 miles per hour to 318 miles per hour or 402 kilometers per hour to 511 kilometers per hour. This does incredible damage. Strong framed houses leveled off foundations and swept away. Automobile-sized missiles flying through the air in excess of 100 meters or 109 yards. Trees debarked. Incredible phenomenons will occur. In 2007, the F scale was replaced with the enhanced F scale. This scale estimates wind speeds after a tornado happens by surveying the damage and having 3-second guess estimates. Tornadoes can have damage from minor tree limb damage to total destruction of homes, businesses, all the way to the foundations of the businesses. If riding historical or places without homes, these could take every single tree down to the stump. The rating and category system feels convoluted to me, so I will give you the wind speeds, and if you would like to learn more, I will leave links in the show notes.
Simply put, they guess the wind speed off of the damage scale that was previously stated and add in what was damaged, as in a sapling or a large tree. Was the roof taken off, or is the whole house leveled?
The EF scale wind speeds are as follows. EF0, 65 to 85 miles per hour, or 104 to 136 kilometers per hour. EF1, 86 to 110 miles per hour, or 138 to 177 kilometers per hour. EF2, 111 miles per hour to 135 miles per hour, or 178 to 217 kilometers per hour. EF3, 136 miles per hour to 165 miles per hour, or 218 to 265 kilometers per hour. EF4, 166 to 200 miles per hour, or 267 to 321 kilometers per hour. EF5, over 200 miles per hour, or over
321 kilometers per hour. Sometimes straight-line winds are mistaken for tornadoes. These are the types of thunderstorm winds that can reach speeds over 100 miles per hour. The highest recorded wind speed is 253 miles per hour. They can have loud roaring associated with them. These are often associated with the line of storm that bow or have a curved shape on the radar. These are very common in Tornado Alley and actually happen more than tornadoes do. Fun fact: dust devils look like tornadoes but are not real tornadoes. They are considered brief whirlwinds. Now for everyone's favorite part. What could possibly go wrong? Well, let me tell you. Likely to go wrong. Your character survives a tornado only to be hit with hail after the tornado ends. Also likely to go wrong. After your character survives a tornado, they are hit with heavy rain, potentially causing flooding. Possible to go wrong. Your character grew up with tornado sirens and warnings. They could easily become complacent and not take the warnings seriously. Also possible to go wrong. Your character believes there is no tornado because they cannot see it and they do not take cover. They are then hit with a rain-wrapped tornado. This could be deadly. Unlikely to go wrong. Like a scene from Twister, something weird is thrown past your character. This could be a trampoline, a canoe, a frog, a bicycle, a peanut, or even a school bus. Also unlikely to go wrong, your character has no idea what the green sky could mean, and they do not know to take shelter. Improbable, but still technically in the realm of possibilities. Your character encounters a satellite tornado and is hit by both tornadoes. Improbable, but still technically in the realm of possibilities. Your character hides in the northeast corner of a building and the tornado backtracks and hits the building a second time. Your character might be injured or killed when they believed they would be safe there. You can find this episode's show notes and helpful links to learn more on my website, alleyhart.com. That's ALLEYHART.com. Thanks for listening. Subscribe and follow for more episodes. Connect on my YouTube videos by dropping me a comment. A new episode comes out every Monday. Until then, happy wordsmithing!